Lay back, relax, enjoy it all. Saturday night, it's time to say no more. S&M with Tally and KRC. Come pleasure or pain, welcome to the stream.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to S&M. I'm Eve. This is Tally.
Hi.
And with
I,
us
I, I
today,
am alive.
yes, she's alive. And with us today, we have a special guest, Mr. Sanguine Magavan.
Good afternoon, all.
Did I get it right this time?
All right, close enough. It's Mugavan.
Magavan. That's what I said. Okay. Anyway, I got it right. I'm gonna count that as right. It's close. It's close enough. Good enough. Anyway, hi. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing grand, and yourself?
I am doing good. We're gonna say good.
That's good to hear. And Pat says he can't say it either. Yes, most people have trouble with the old Irish Gaelic.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that though, because last time we talked about that, we got yeeted. So.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, apparently they have something against P and Q Celtic. I see how it is. YouTube. The 900 years of oppression weren't enough, so need to tack on some more.
So
you know what? You laugh about that, but that actually happened.
Oh yeah. The population of Ireland was reduced by 2/3
oof.
in a single generation.
X.
But apparently, if you talk about that, you're spreading a white conspiracy and talking point because a good chunk of them were sold.
I mean, yeah.
Well, they were raided by Barbary pirates. There was the indentured servitude, and then there was the potato famine.
The
Yep,
indentured
it
servitude part. Hi. That's how my family made it to America.
Yeah, it was indentured servitude, Barbary pirates, the potato famine, the not quite indentured servitude. It's more actual slavery that people don't like to mention. And yeah, also just effectively cullings of the Irish because they were getting uppity.
Well,
yeah.
Also, shipping a fuck ton of them to Australia.
Well, they were criminals. Australia was basically just a giant prison.
Okay.
It was.
When you say criminals, keep in mind a crime back then was being unable to pay your debts. So by rights, a lot of people living in England and America right now, including yourself that have unpaid debts, would be under that edict of, hey, you can't pay your debts, so instead we're going to enslave you. Oh, by the way, we're going to toss you on this ship and send you across to this penal colony in Australia. Oh, hey.
And you might be lucky enough to survive the journey, and if not, you might die because everything in Australia wants to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
In
my family's case, we got lucky. I say lucky, and the ship was diverted to a port in America by a storm. And while they were there, the captain of the ship was just like, it's probably just easier if I make a few bucks and sell them into slavery here. And so there we go.
Yeah, and depending on which area you're from, the definition of crime wavered in interesting directions past that, even, because in Ireland, the definition of crime included, "Are you not that keen on the English?" Well,
you know
we
what?
have
You're
a
not
colony
wrong.
for you. We will send you to this colony. No expenses paid.
Speaking of not too keen on the English, I'm not keen on the
all
English
of this
today.
History. See, all of this history is a reason why you should not give up your gun rights.
I
See,
hear that.
The last time someone tried to take away guns from America, you lot shot at them for 8 years.
We shot at him for 8 years. I love that interpretation of it.
It's true. It's true. They tried to take away your guns. That was the final straw, and you just went, you know what? Fuck you, and shot at the English for 8 years straight.
I was just gonna say I'm not too keen on the English today because one of them decided to slander my country by saying like, what was it? We were talking about the house you grew up in, Tally.
The house I grew up in is older than your entire fucking country.
And she decided to throw that out there as an insult, and I'm like, oh, well, at least my house has central heating and air.
My house had central heating as well. It didn't need air because I lived in England.
Also, as a counterpoint, unlike your house, America's successful.
Ooh.
hey, you know what? The company that my dad had on the same property as that land, as that house, was very successful. And until the divorce between him and my mother. Okay, yeah, now I'm sad.
I'm sorry.
It was successful until my mum went, you know what? Fuck you.
That is a very common story, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a new toy. It's a lot of fun. It's like a 3D pen, and it's fun. I've been messing about with it.
Oh, I see. You do have a little pentagram that you've drawn there.
Yeah, I've made stars and all sorts. It's a lot of fun.
I'm
getting pretty good with it. I've thought
about getting one just because I've watched people make like some crazy, like go watch some of the YouTube videos people have made. It's insane.
Using one of them.
Yeah, just using a 3D pen. It's insane. The stuff they do with it. Like they'll actually take it and make frameworks. They'll start by making like a little skeleton of like a framework and make this like this whole 3D out. Yeah, they'll start with something like that and they'll piece it, stick it together with they'll glue it to another piece, and then they'll just make this little skeleton and just fill in all the gaps on the skeleton. Then they'll take like a what do you call like one of the things when you're like burning wood, a wood burning pencil, not a pencil, it's not what they call it, but
charcoal.
It's not a charcoal.
No.
It's like a
I will
burn
be back in
pen,
a second.
yeah, burn pen.
Just
Okay.
give me you can carry on. I will be back in a second though.
Okay. But it's like a burn pen of some kind where they'll take it, and it's normally used for carving wood, but because it heats up, it remelts the 3D pen. They'll use it to just smooth out the edges of it, so like they can get like a really smooth finish. And it's crazy the extents they go to just to make a 3D sculpture out of a pen.
It's functionally like a soldering iron, but you use it on wood.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna change the subject.
Go for it.
No, I was say Gia says air conditioning is an amazing invention, and the EU is nuts for not wanting a piece of this action. Changed my mind. Well, to be fair, as Miss Tally would say, it doesn't get very warm over there. Especially not in England, especially not in northern England. So
I got sunburned while I was in northern England.
I didn't say you couldn't get sunburned. I just said it doesn't get warm.
that also got overheated.
But yeah, no. The 3D pen videos I've watched are kind of crazy. I like to watch videos of like people making things or restoring old things, you know. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of cool, all the shit that's been coming out recently, tech-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people that use it for the worst possible ends, like the 3D printed sculpture that has thankfully been taken down, but unfortunately been taken down at the expense of the population.
Oof.
Have you heard about this?
I have not.
You heard about the Colston statue being tossed into the river, right?
Nope.
Okay, so in the UK, there was a statue, the Colston statue. Colston was a very successful businessman who then ended up donating an almost obscene amount of money to libraries, schools, and various other venues, the arts, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And he was fairly famous, and he got a statue erected in his honor due to all of his philanthropic works. The problem is that he was a man of his time, because Colston was, before the English decided, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to try to end slavery worldwide.
Hey, we did it.
And he was involved in the triangle trade. So, with all the BLM bullshit, they ripped down its statue and tossed it into the river. A BLM protester then climbed the plinth and did the Black Power fist, to which a artist, using the term fairly loosely, decided, hey, that would be an amazing thing to put up on the plinth instead. So he called in that protester that had done the Black Power fist, 3D scanned her, and then 3D printed a life-size statue and stuck it on the plinth.
He 3D printed a life-size statue.
Yes.
Because that's not going to go to our head at all.
Wow.
3D printed a life-size statue and stuck it on the plinth for Colston. Without any sort of, hey, local government, I know we tore down your statue. Mind if I stick this one up? So, the statue was taken down. Unfortunately, it was gently taken down and put in a museum for the artist to collect at his first convenience. And that was all done at the expense of the population. Our population. And,
I'm sorry, they did what now?
They took down the 3D printed statue of the BLM protester holding up the Black Power fist and stuck it in a museum for the artist to collect at his leisure. It's on display in the museum until he collects it.
You know he's not going to collect it.
And the council is deciding whether or not they want to replace the Colston statue, whether they're going to try to stick the Colston statue back up. They aren't going to do that. Or whether they're going to decide to stick something else up in its place, which, unfortunately, given how the English like to capitulate recently, seems like that statue, that 3D printed monstrosity, might end up back on the plinth.
I fucking hate my country.
Yeah.
We were once the most powerful empire in the world.
See, the thing is that your nation and most of the West has forgotten a very important historic lesson. Pay the Danegeld, never be rid of the Dane. And for those of you...
Well, why do you think the Vikings kept coming back
That's
after they realized that the people weren't gonna fight? They just sent everything down to the harbor that the Vikings wanted and went, "Hey, is this enough? Please don't hurt us."
Yeah, that's exactly what the Danegeld was. The Danegeld was
free shit.
Price that you would pay the Vikings not to
raid and pillage. Yeah.
Because technically Viking's a verb. So yeah, it was the price that you paid in order to prevent them from going a Viking in your lands, which always seemed to bring them back the same time next year.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
You give somebody free stuff, how they, decide to come back and see if you have more free stuff later.
Yeah. And there were people that were able to use it correctly in history, where they realized, oh god, I don't have a force sizable enough to deal with them right now. Pay them off for a year and build my forces.
While we build the forces.
Mm-hmm.
And then smash them when they come back next year. But then
they will never come back again.
Yeah, but then there were others that they would just have their annual payment. And surprise, surprise, the annual payment kept on increasing. More Danes kept on showing up, hearing that, we don't even have to do anything. We just show up and they give us money.
Yeah, we just show up on our ships and they give us money, they give us jewels, they give us virgins, they give us slave labor.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, most of the West seems to have forgotten this message.
Of course they do. Because it's an ugly part of history and everyone wants to forget about the ugly parts of history.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue with that is if you forget about the ugly parts, you're more likely to repeat them.
Yeah.
Lion Patriot says, give coins and we are not Viking. Ivar the Thick, 836 AD.
Yep. Though Ivar was the boneless.
And Snow says, we did the same thing with the Barbary pirates until we built frigates that scared the bejesus out of the British.
Mm-hmm.
Gia says, it's protection fees?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they call it that. It's blackmail. It's, hey, we won't kill you if you give us your shit.
You know what?
It's racketeering.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings and the Barbary pirates who did the same thing, they were the original mob.
Yep. Beating people down for money, for stuff.
Yeah. The original mob.
And then, unfortunately, in the same venue, have you guys heard about the recent cathedral burnings?
No, but going back to the artwork quickly, in Seattle, they decided to paint a mural on a road, where people drive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's considered a hate incident.
To drive on it. Yes.
You're talking about the rainbow they put in that crosswalk?
Yep.
They did the same thing in somewhere in Canada as well, but no one cares about Canada.
Canada's also pursuing someone with a hate crime for it.
Yeah, I know. Paint on the road where people are going to drive, and then when people drive on it, say it's a hate crime.
Yep.
Okay.
But there's apparently another cathedral fire that's in a string of like 3 or 4 recent cathedral fires.
Well, when Notre Dame burned down, they were going to try and turn it into a modern art monstrosity with steel and glass. But
Thankfully,
then the historical people went, no, it has to be put back the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
I am so proud of the historical, whatever they're called, France's history group.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of them.
It worked out that way because it would have been absolute monstrosity if it had not. But yeah, there's apparently a couple more cathedrals. There was Saint Peter.
I saw an architect's rendering of what they wanted to do with Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, it was a monstrosity.
Why? What is it with modern architecture and making building as ugly as humanly possible?
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
like,
apparently,
can we just wind architecture back like 100 years?
Apparently,
like not like interiors, just exteriors.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, the Cathedral of Saint Peter and Saint Paul of Nantes, or Nantes, whatever the fuck, is on fire right now. And if I remember correctly, I saw some report that this one has been determined to be arson because it was about 3 or 4 different locations set fire almost simultaneously, which makes it rather hard for them to go, oh, this is just a accidental fire.
Well, what happened in Notre Dame was an accident because what they were doing was they were redoing the interior, and a generator like overloaded or something, and it just went up. They could track that, whereas in a cathedral where they've got 3 or 4 fires starting simultaneously, it's kind of hard to convince people that that is anything but what it is, which is arson.
Wait, what?
So,
Hikaru was saying, oh, Ontario police killed a 73-year-old man for not wearing a mask, so yeah, Canada is fucking crazy. What? If you have a link to that, would you please share?
That's as fucked as the woman that was shot in the head for saying all lives matter.
Yeah, that's just as fucked up. I mean, Jesus.
Well, I don't understand how all lives is racist. Because all lives includes black lives. It's not all lives except black lives. It's all lives. It, by definition, it is inclusive.
But pigs are more equal.
I don't think that's what you should necessarily be using for the comparison there, Sanguine, but I get what you're trying to say.
No, Sanguine, I see where you were coming from with that. Orwell's Animal Farm.
Yep, exactly.
All animals are equal. Some are more equal than others.
Yep. All animals are equal, but pigs are more equal. It's absolute bullshit. People need to stop paying the Dane.
They do. But they do it anyway.
Yep, because they think that they can be spared. And then we have the people that think that they can direct them, which both of those...
I always find it amusing when these people, they kick off and then they cry about how oppressed they are. If you were really oppressed, you wouldn't be able to kick off like that. Because you would be too afraid to act that way.
Yep. But they do it anyway.
And let's not forget. Fuck! What's his name?
I don't know.
Americans are gonna hate me. All the Americans are gonna hate me. What was the name of the guy that did the "I Have a Dream" speech?
Martin Luther King.
Him. He was for gun rights. Let's remember that. He was assassinated while going through the process of getting a license to have a gun or to conceal carry a gun.
It also pisses me off that
he had armed guards, but he still wanted a gun to defend himself.
I'm being asked who invented the first restaurant in the world and in the US. That is far too ancient of an event to give a proper answer for in the world, and it depends on your definition of restaurant.
Far too ancient an event, he says.
Yeah, if it depends on your definition of restaurant. If you're counting wayside inns,
taverns,
and the lot, then
goes back quite a ways.
Yeah, that goes back to Imperial Rome or older.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about a designated area where someone can go for a meal, I think that also goes to Imperial Rome or older. First in the United States, I don't know, when did the first tavern open? Or there's a score of other things, because if you count ice cream shops, there were ice cream shops before America became America. So,
in ancient Egypt, women could own property in their own right.
Within certain confines, if I remember correctly. Just like most
businesses.
areas.
And businesses.
Yep. And in the Norse tradition, the females were in charge of the home life. The men were in charge of war.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, the household...
Some might argue that's why they lived in mud huts.
The household, that was female. The trade deals that weren't foreign trade deals, but trade deals with other Vikings, female.
Trade deals within the landmass.
Yes. Female. Pretty much everything that wasn't war, female.
Well, there are some disagreements on whether shield maidens were or weren't actually a thing.
The best history on that, the best evidence for it, is that they were occasionally the thing.
Well, they were never a thing outside of where they were from. Like, if someone was invading their homes,
yeah,
shield maidens, it tended to be the women who were home taking care of the land and the homes. They would take up arms to defend their homes.
Yeah,
but
just
they would never go to war.
Just like damn near everywhere, it tended to be that when you find evidence of females fighting, it's because that was their last line. That they were being overrun.
They were essentially the Vikings.
We have people that can wield something.
Well, the shield maidens, they were essentially the ancient, the Vikings' version of girls of the home front.
Yeah, they were
during World War II. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
During World War II, the home front girls, they had training, and there were pilots and all that sort of thing as well that were women. They just didn't go to war zones. If they were there so that they could do things like make shells, factories, and all that sort of thing, but if we were invaded, they could fight.
Mm-hmm. And Dr.
Actually, something a lot of Americans don't actually know is that America actually had a, I want to say platoon of just female pilots that flew planes. They were called WASPs.
You're a wasp.
No, I'm not, because I can't fly planes.
And just to comment on something that Dr. No was asking, I think what you're trying to get at is in, I believe it was Old English. It might have been Middle English, but I think it was Old English. There was Werman and Whiffman. And wife is thought to have descended from Whiff. Because Whiffmen were women.
Yeah.
Wermen were men, and that's where werewolf comes from. Because you take the were from wereman, tack on wolf, and you have man-wolf.
Kinky.
You know what, the way languages evolve is quite interesting, really.
And I just double checked, and yes, it is Old English. The Middle English version was Wom, Wim, and Whiffmen with an N-E at the end.
No, Dr. No. Husband does not come from the word husbandry, because husbandry is the means to take care of livestock.
I mean, isn't that what a husband does?
No, not necessarily.
No. You totally missed what I said there.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
I mean, in a lot of cases, have you met most stay-at-home women? You know, a lot of them are kind of cows. So, I mean,
yeah,
I'm teasing. Yep. Don't shoot me.
The two possible origins of husband, or at least the two most likely origins of husband, are from Old English or Old Norse, because you had husbanda, which was the male, not husbando, husbanda, which was the male head of the household, the master of the house or householder, and then you had the husbandi, which was the Old Norse, which was pretty much the same thing. It was master of the house, house dweller, and shares the same origin as huskarl.
Oh, excuse me. Huskarl.
Yep, which was the
I remember those from Skyrim.
Yes.
You get a house that would take care of your house. But
exactly.
Not really.
They were your household guard.
Basically.
And
I know words like infection came from ancient Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the word democracy also came from ancient Greece.
Mm-hmm.
But true democracy is two wolves and a lamb deciding what's for dinner.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The huskarls, the most famous huskarls, are actually the English huskarls. Because you have the Battle of Hastings. And the primary seasoned English force within that were the huskarls of Harold Godwinson. And they had a rather particular fighting style. Do you happen to know what it is off the top of your head, Tally?
Sorry? I spaced out. Do I know where what is?
Do you happen to know the English Huskarls fighting style?
The English words.
Huskarls, Housecarl.
No, not off the top of my head, I don't.
They used a massive two-handed axe that they used backwards. They did a southpaw handing of their axe.
Well, if you want to talk about like using ancient weaponry properly, let's say this is the handle of a longsword or a broadsword. Now, in movies, you'll see people hold it like that, but it wasn't held like that. They would have one hand on that, and the other hand would be the other side of the thing on the blade.
Well, that's a different method, because you had... If you're dealing with an arming sword, then there isn't room for two hands. You have to be dealing with a hand and a half or a full long sword. And then it depended on the situation how you would be wielding it. Because there's... What is it? Half gripping, I want to say? I'm getting that term wrong. But...
I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I don't think that's the right word.
There's the blade grip, effectively, where you have one hand on the blade and you have the other hand on the handle. Then you have the...
So, like, handle blade sort of thing.
Would be your lead hand would be up on the blade, and you would effectively be using it almost like a spear at that point. It would be a way of half sorting. That's the term that I was looking for.
Half sorting?
Yep, half sorting. So you would have your one hand on the blade about half its length. And that was one method of wielding it. That was if you're in close proximity.
Basically, if you were, like, let's say you are in very tight quarters.
Yes, you would start half sorting.
And you wouldn't be able to use the full length of your sword.
Yep.
So what you would do is you would grip
Story
it like
of my life.
handle on, and then on the blade, and then you would,
Yeah, whereas if you're talking about an arming sword or a side sword, a single-handed sword, then that was normally just gripped at the handle. And it was often...
Well, yeah, because they're a lot smaller than...
And that's where you'll get the common idea of sword and board, or sword and shield. Because a single-handed sword, you would often have a shield.
My humor goes unappreciated.
No, we heard it. We just glossed over.
I know. It goes
Well, let's
unappreciated.
face it. The idea of talking about ancient weaponry, it's...
I mean, it's not that ancient. I'm only 33.
But yeah, the Housecarls, they would use their axes as a lefty rather than the standard righty, which forced their opponents to make one hell of a choice.
So,
do you... Oh, go ahead.
What you're saying is I'd be a good Housecarl. Because I am a lefty.
So, the choice that their opponents would have to make, if you wield right-handed, then your opponent who's wielding a shield in their left and their weapon in their right, their shield is on the same side as your weapon when you're facing each other. So it's fairly easy for them to decide, okay, I'm going to block with my shield. When you're going up against a Housecarl, suddenly their weapon's coming down on your weapon side. So are you going to try to block the 6-foot-tall, 1.5-foot head axe with your weapon? Or are you going to
switch hands?
turn your entire body to try to block it with your shield. Which, by the way, if you turn your entire body to block it with your shield, now you've just opened yourself up to the housecarl behind that, well, not behind that housecarl, but to the side of that housecarl, who now gets to go, oh, free back. And, okay.
I was going to say something, but I completely forgot.
So yeah, they wielded these absolutely enormous axes the wrong way around, which made them absolutely goddamn terrible.
Oh, I know what it is. People, it's more common for people to be right-handed, correct? Only, what, like 5 to 10% of the population are left-handed?
Something like that,
and
though.
And back in those days, using your left hand as your dominant hand was a sign of Satan or the devil.
Yes, which
so
is
they
one
would condition people to use their right hand as their dominant hand. And the reason people would shake the handshake, it came as a thing because you would extend your right hand to shake someone's hand to show that you were unarmed.
Yeah, the handedness might not have always been the split between right and left that it is now, because there's fair reason to think that, due to the fact that the left hand was sinister, in fact, that's where the phrase or word sinister comes from. It comes from the Latin for left-handed, and now it means evil.
You know, you guys and your left-handed, rudeness, just being rude. Just go fuck yourself.
Hey, it's not my fault that we're more
left-handed discrimination.
Left-handed discrimination. Thank you, Tally.
Sweetie, something you have to remember is we are not discriminating against people who are left-handed. The ancients did.
But this left-handed discrimination is just a little much for me, okay? Like,
there's fair reason to think that there was a sizable percent of the left-handed population that was cold.
That was cold?
Cold.
Cold, as in...
Cold.
Killed.
Do tell.
Cold, like what we do to...
Cold. C-U-L-L.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's reason to believe that a fair portion were killed off because you're using the Satan hand. Dead. Now I've gotten rid of a Satan worshiper.
Actually, as recent as the 70s, in certain religious
they
schools,
beat the ever-living shit out of you.
They would beat you as recently as the 70s, maybe even the early 80s in certain schools. The nuns would, if you were using your left hand.
Yep. Because it was thought to be a negative sign of your character. Yes, the Satan hand, Kefti.
They can suck my dick, because it's not my fault my brain's wired this way.
Well, truth be told, you're the only one of us that's in your right mind.
But pish.
And for those who don't know, your handedness, you're in your opposite mind, so as a righty, I'm in my left.
The left hemisphere of your brain controls the right side of your body.
Yep. So Eve is in her right mind.
I mean, try telling that to all the transphobic people on Twitter.
Yeah.
That I'm in my right mind. That I'm not mentally ill. And it's like, duh, what else you got?
Though I'm willing to bet that you get that from both sides at the moment.
You say that, but I'm sorry, but by definition, dysmorphia is a form of mental illness.
Yeah, it's a good thing I don't have dysmorphia then, isn't it?
Well, I can imagine you don't anymore, seeming how you have transitioned.
Dysphoria, sweetie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dysphoria.
that. I knew what I meant. You knew what I meant.
They're
Dysphoria.
two different things. They're
I
similar.
knew what I meant. You knew what I meant.
If I'm not mistaken,
expecting you to try to pull out dysgraphia to cover, but
I was going to say dysmorphia, if I'm not mistaken, is the perception that you are something that you're not, while dysphoria is the, I guess, more the lamentation that you aren't what you wish you were. And in that case, there are varying ways that a lot of people feel dysphoria of different kinds over their lifespan, but this one in particular is quite specific to a specific element of my life. So
dysmorphia.
Everyone feels uncomfortable in their own body at some point in their life.
Well, dysphoria, the word dysphoria by itself is a strong discomfort.
And dysmorphia is when a fairly minor or imagined aspect of your form makes you hideous to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, someone that has a slight crook in their nose and they think that they're an absolute goddamn monster because of their crooked nose.
A more common example would be anorexics.
Yep.
People with anorexia.
They are ridiculously skinny, but when they look in the mirror, they see themselves as.
Just no matter how skinny they get, they can't see anything but I'm fat. I need to lose weight.
Yeah, anorexia is a form of dysmorphia.
Yes.
I knew what I meant. You knew what I meant.
Keffy says, wait, if left-handed people were called Satan hands, what were ambidextrous people called? Were they only partially evil?
Well, because they could use their dexterous hand, which is right, then they were considered.
They could hide it.
Yeah.
They could hide it. They just wouldn't use their left hand.
They wouldn't use their left hand unless it benefited them to use their left hand, and then they would be found clever. Which was a common thing when it came to, or not a common thing, but it was a aspect when it came to combat. If someone was able to swap hands when they needed to, that just became clever.
It's like, well, I'm gonna get my ass kicked.
Dual wielding.
Yep.
Well, not so much dual wielding. That's very rare throughout history.
Well, yeah, it was more of a case of if you needed to and there was a sword, you could.
Yeah, the extent of dual wielding was normally you'd have a parrying knife or parrying dagger in one hand. You wouldn't often have the common depiction of sword and axe or axe and axe or two full-size weapons. You would typically have a...
No, you would have something like a cutlass or a rapier and a dagger of some sort.
Yep, you'd have a parrying dagger or potentially a sword breaker. Which, contrary to the name, doesn't actually break swords.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, the sword breaker broke the form, effectively. Because you would bind the sword with the teeth, pulling it out of line. So rather than it breaking the sword, it broke the form. And do I watch...
I don't know what that means.
Fire? I have seen Forged in Fire, but I do not...
I like Forged in Fire. I haven't watched it for a while, but I do enjoy it. I do find it interesting the way they build different... Like, they just go away for a week and make a historically accurate weapon.
And yes, the
Pretty cool.
main Gauche is a perfect example of a parrying dagger. And yes, it is the left hand.
hate when
Yes,
idiots raise
lion
bile signs.
stabbies are cool. You gotta love your stibby stabbies.
Stibby stabbies.
Mhm.
I certainly love the stibby stabbies.
I need to at some point get a full house curl axe because I have a decent sized two-handed Danes, but it isn't the full 6 foot plus.
I'm not allowed to carry a knife around outside of my home unless it is shorter than 3 inches.
That sucks.
Like, as in like the blade.
So what you're saying is I would not be allowed to walk around in England?
With a
She got it! She got it! Ah.
Though, if you can adequately describe
amusingly
that...
though, I can carry that around because it's not classified as a knife. It's a nail file, even though you could stab the shit out of someone with that.
Just sharpen it. Why not?
It's already sharp.
Well, in the end, if you don't have the sides and stuff sharpened as well, it doesn't slide in as easy. So you're going to have to put a lot of force behind it. You can still stab someone with it, but you put a lot more effort into it.
And apparently Kefki's happy that she could catch the stream because I'm a fountain of knowledge on interesting things. It all depends on perspective. Some people find it fascinating. Some people find it just fucking weird.
When I was a kid, we would just be I would just be with my family. We'd be having a random conversation. We would just be talking about something, and then I would just randomly, out of nowhere, go, "Did you know?" Followed by useless fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm bored. Let's change the subject.
As a result, my mother called me the font of useless information.
As I have said many times on Minions, I am the product of a Spurg that has been told a shit ton of times, can you talk about anything else? So, I learned something else until I was told, can you talk about anything else? So now I just have random fucking information from most people's perspectives. But yeah, it's each of my fascinations. Since I remember
it is
them.
fascinating. It is fascinating.
Hey, if Duncan MacLeod could walk around England and Paris with a katana stashed in his coat, you should be fine. Look, Highlander doesn't count. It's not like they could do anything to him anyway.
Lion Patriot says Sanguine's a wonderful know-it-all. Shame him.
Well,
feel like people would have trouble shaming me.
We would shame him, but we think he likes it.
I wasn't sure if you were going to go for that, or just that I'm completely shameless.
I'm gonna go with it. It's tough to shame him. He usually just does that laugh and then just goes, "Okay, sure." And you're like, "No, it's not the reaction I wanted."
That's why I'm pretty sure he likes it.
I think he's just impervious to it.
I have a couple more weapons that I need to collect at some point. And this is just
I have a shitload of weapons I need to collect.
I need to get...
I don't have any.
I need to get a Bardiche.
Do we want to talk food yet?
Oh, sure, I'm game to talk food.
I know you are.
I'm always game. And that just reminded me, I need to take the dry brine steak out to let it come to room temp.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm gonna be making lemon herb chicken with golden rice stuffed red peppers. So good. Frankly, I'm surprised I haven't grabbed one of the red peppers and started eating it like an apple, because red peppers are so good.
And now my steak is out to come to room temp.
How long will that take?
Within 30, it'll be up to room temp, but I'll give it more time because after getting off air here, I'll be quickly getting ready for work later on tonight and then cooking. And Dr. No wants to ask who's taller, me or Eve. We're the same height.
In the question of who is taller, the answer is never going to be me.
Yeah, we're both 6'1". So, same height. I am just considerably broader than Eve. But, yes, as to food, you want me to describe what I'm going to be having for dinner? Is that what you were hinting at, Eve?
Do it!
Yes.
So, I have a steak that I just said I took out of the refrigerator, which has been dry brined for about 36. Actually, no, yesterday was 36, so now it is 60 hours dry brined, which it was dry brined with a alderwood smoked salt and a hickory smoked salt, as well as powdered umami from Taki. So it's a mushroom-based powder that just has this fantastic, meaty, umami taste to it.
Nice.
Which has fully penetrated the meat. Just every bite will have that nice level of salt, which is why you dry brine. Because when you just season it normally, the salt is on the outer layer. So if you get just a little bit of the outer layer and a lot of the inside, then it ends up tasting under.
Kefki's like, you had me at steak. I know, right?
Whereas
trying to fill my stomach with water so I don't get hungry.
If you dry brine, then the salt penetrates the entire cut of meat, so every bite is perfectly seasoned with salt. So that is currently sitting on a plate behind me, coming up to room temp, because what I'm going to be doing tonight, it sounds somewhat sacrilegious, but trust me, it is absolutely delicious, and I've done a video on this on my channel, which I need to, at some point, start producing content for again. But I'm going to be deep frying the steak so that it gets
No!
Oh, no, trust me. It is an absolutely amazing thing. It sounds like an abomination, but it is this amazing crust over the entire piece of meat as every section of the exposed surface has absolutely insane Maillard reactions take place, just blooming the flavor so that it is the meatiest bite of steak that you can possibly imagine.
I like deep fried halloumi.
Very different considering that's
Kalita non sequitur Constantine.
But yeah, if you haven't had a steak that you've deep fried, give it a go once. Just once. See if I'm lying.
No, because I will grill my steaks and then I will grill cheese onto said steak, and then I will make a steak and cheese sandwich with it.
See, if I could grill, I would grill, and if I could smoke, I would do that over grilling, in fact.
George Foreman.
I can't because I live in an apartment.
You can buy a George Foreman. They're like this big.
Yeah, George Foreman suck. If I'm going to cook...
It's a grill, isn't it?
No, it doesn't give smoky flavor.
Well, no, it doesn't. But it still grills it.
It is an electric griddle pan, which is pointless. If I'm going to cook it in just a
I love
pan,
my George Foreman. I use it for everything from bacon, steaks, chicken. I even use it for toasties and paninis.
Well, it makes sense as a panini press. But if I'm going to be cooking it inside and I'm not going to be deep frying it, then I'm going to just use my cast iron. I'm going to get screaming hot, throw in a bit of beef tallow, or I currently have bison tallow, which
I used to have a cast iron pot, and I loved that thing. It was like this big, and it was solid cast iron, and the lid alone was like £10. It was ridiculously heavy.
Yeah.
This thing was. And oh my god, the meat, it would just fall apart when it came out of it.
Yeah. So I use
you know what? I don't see, as far as I'm concerned, my ex can do what he likes, but I hate him for keeping my cast iron pan.
Yeah. I have a shit ton of cast iron. It's my primary cookware. So I will
cast iron's brilliant.
In my cast iron, get that beautiful Maillard reaction all the same. But trust me, experiment with a deep fried steak at some point. It is insane. So I have the dry brine steak that I'm going to deep fry into a perfect medium rare, but it's going to be on the rare side of medium rare. So a rare medium rare. Because as BG just said, well, then you're a heathen, unless you like it rarer than medium rare.
Well, it goes blue, rare, medium rare.
Yep.
What are you doing? Please stop. You've ruined it.
Exactly.
Please stop. You've ruined it.
I've grilled up blue and served it up. In fact, that's how Inquisitor on the 4th took his...
Oh, see, my brother, my brother's a chef.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if you want to give him a steak, rip its horns off, wipe its ass, and slap it on a plate for him.
Yep.
And he is happy.
So...
He likes it still mooing, the heart still pumping.
That's how
he likes his steak.
On the 4th, I cooked up a massive feast for Inquisitor, Adam, Bug, and myself. But tonight's dinner is going to be like rare, medium rare, so that it's nice and juicy, but warm all the way through, because that's the...
Oh, so it's going to be halfway between rare and medium rare.
Yeah, I want it body temp on the inside. That's as much cooking on the inside as I want. I want body temp. So...
Fuck. That's not enough water.
Going to then come out. I'm also going to do some mushrooms that I'm going to saute in a bit of bison tallow, which will be absolutely delicious. And
what is the name? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you were talking about how you want it like room temperature on the inside. What is the name of the method? Tataki. I like beef tataki. It's pretty good. Where they like sear the outside, but they leave the inside like pink.
Yep.
It's called searing.
Well, the way it's prepared in this particular Asian dish, they have tuna tataki and beef tataki are the ones that I've tried, and I like both.
Yeah, it's Japanese.
Yeah, it's Japanese.
Absolutely delicious.
Yes.
You know what? If we were talking about Asian food, my scales of Asian food from best to it goes Japanese, Thai, Korean, then Chinese.
See,
if you
that's
disagree with me, you're just wrong.
No, that's because most of the time you have Western Chinese. Or rather, Westernized Chinese. Westernized Chinese, kind of meh. If you have proper Chinese, oh god, that shit's amazing. And I have a place not terribly far from me that does proper traditional Chinese. And just thinking about their tea smoked duck makes my mouth water. But the final portion of my dinner tonight, I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to do this, but I'm tempted because I got some beautiful blackberries and strawberries at the farmer's market a couple days ago. I'm tempted to just do a very simple berries and cream. Because I did prep a bit before this.
If you've got a blender, what you can do is if you freeze the berries, then you put them in a blender with a little bit of natural yogurt. It comes out kind of like the texture of ice cream.
Hold up. Let's address that word you just said there.
Yogurt?
Yogurt.
Yeah.
Yogurt. Not yogurt, but yogurt. You said yogurt.
Yeah, yogurt's a valid pronunciation.
How the British pronounce it.
Disagree. They also say aluminium, so I can't trust the way they pronounce anything.
Well, you've got to remember, we also spell aluminium different.
Yeah, I was about to say, they pronounce aluminium while also spelling aluminium. But yeah, I'm thinking of doing a very simple, or given the little bit of prep work I've done, a simple berries and cream, because I did mix up some doubled cream for it.
You could use doubled cream if you want to make it that way.
And
it comes out sort of like the texture of ice cream, and it's so good.
The thing is that, I'm not sure if you know this, Tally. In the US, it is almost impossible to find double cream.
Yeah, you've told me.
Yep. We have heavy cream. So when I refer to doubled cream, I refer to something that now has a higher milk fat content than double cream. Because
you add fat flakes or something to it to double the fat content to your cream to make it.
Yep. I add heavy cream.
See here, go down to the supermarket, you can buy pots of double cream.
Yep. But unfortunately, we can't do that here. So I have...
Lion says triple cream is where it's at. I don't think that's actually a thing.
Tripled cream is just pure fat.
Well, considering that double cream is what, 72 to 76%? Let me quickly double check. It might be 60 something.
Assassin says the Britons have an obsession with finding words to stuff you in where it does not belong. He's slinging shit today.
Than I thought. So a good chunk of double cream is at about the 50% mark, 45 to 50, with some being a bit higher. The doubled cream that I do is about 70%.
Yeah, so if you're gonna go triple cream, it is just fat with a cream flavor.
Fat with a cream flavor.
It is effectively just barely hydrated milk fat.
Dr. No says, can you use cream to make a pie? Yes. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And the higher the milk
don't
fat...
call it a cream pie because that's something completely different. That got Tally.
The higher the milk fat, the easier it is to whip. So yeah, I'm thinking I might do that as my dessert for the night, but I haven't quite committed to it as of yet.
That does sound good, though.
That does sound good.
And it'll be with, like I said, the strawberries and blackberries that I got at the farmer's market. And just slightly sweetening the cream.
Ever so slightly.
Yes. Not quite as sweet as a whipped cream would go, but just a slight sweetening just to make it even more indulgent and dessert-like.
That does sound good.
Dr.
But again, I'd stick it in a blend. I'd freeze the fruit, stick it in a blender, and make it into like a frozen yogurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It just feels wrong to say it like that.
Well, if you prefer, you could say Go-Gurt, and that will appease many people.
It's yogurt.
Yes, but then there's the brand Go-Gurt.
I don't think that's a thing over here.
The product Go-Gurt. It was...
It's like when they put yogurt in a tube.
Yeah, it's yogurt in a tube.
So do you call it Goggurt? Would you call it Goggurt?
Oh, we have those.
Yeah.
We have those.
You just cut the tip off and you squeeze it out in your mouth.
Yeah, we just call them tubes. We call them tubes. I think that's the name of the brand over here.
See, I was really hoping that it was just going to have a slightly fucked up name, like Cream Tubes, or something along those lines.
No, they're just tubes.
Creamy Squirts.
Yo, creamy squirts. Oh my goodness. So, we are getting towards the end of our show. We got about 20 minutes left. 18 minutes left. So, if anybody has any comments, questions, or queries for Tally, myself, or our guest, Mr. Sanguine, please type them in now with lots of question marks. So,
and
yes,
we were talking about.
Oh, and just before let me finish. Just so we're clear, if you would like to follow Mr. Sanguine on the Twitter or check out his YouTube channel where he makes all of this delicious stuff that he's talking about, there are links down in the description under the guest links section that will take you to all of his content. So.
And I will get around to producing more content.
Something I will say is at least we didn't get him to describe the sinful mother sauce.
Oh, the sinful mother's absolutely
amazing. You know what? When you talk about that, it kind of turns me on, so don't.
Yeah. And we were talking about ice cream and whipped cream in turn earlier. Dr. No. And BG wants to know, can we question your guys' sanity?
Yes. I question my sanity every day.
Sure. Perry says, how are my two favorite stream gals? We're doing pretty good. Have a pretty good day.
Dr. No also wants to know if you're going to be continuing Gabriel Knight.
That's totally up to Polly. Like, we didn't do anything last week because he had a brain fart on Tuesday, so, like, it didn't get home until midnight. We were supposed to have done Noir Bar, like an early Noir Bar, so I could be on. Didn't end up doing that because he got home late, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna get with Mr. Polydub and figure out what he wants to do with the Gabriel Knight, because I'm not sure if he's enjoying it as much, nor am I sure I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying hanging out with him, but I'm not sure I'm enjoying the game. So we'll see.
Something I'm enjoying at the moment, the kids' TV show Gargoyles. I used to love that when I was a kid.
Gargoyles was badass.
Yeah, well, I've got Disney Plus because fuck you, that's why. And I've been watching Gargoyles on it.
Dr. No, I don't have an ancient Babylonian recipe, though I do have a Roman bread recipe that I have made before.
What's your favorite ancient Babylonian recipe? What the fuck?
Sadly, they didn't have any recipes that were recorded.
You know what you're going to have to do at some point? You're going to have either Johnny Hellcat or his friend who is also a Native American. You're going to have to make fry bread.
Ah.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I said,
I've you know what? I've had fry bread. I've made fried bread before. It's pretty good.
like I said, I do have a Roman Empire bread recipe that I haven't done it on my channel. I should probably do that on my channel at some point.
We're gonna have to.
Pat says, I'm enjoying My Hero Academia. I mean, My Hero Academia. And I'm like, nope, you slipped. It's My Hetero Academia now.
Well, actually, it's not even hetero. It's herto.
Well, you know, I read it wrong, so.
Yeah, you'd have to switch the T and the R around.
Dr. No, if you did find an ancient Babylonian recipe, feel free to tweet it at me. I'm interested in old recipes. I have a cookbook that I look at every so often that at some point I'm going to have to go through. But it is going to be an absolute work and a half to use the cookbook because it is from the closet of Sir Arthur Kenham Digby. And it uses rather interesting language to describe how to make things. So, for example, they have a metheglin recipe where it says to mix the honey and the water and thicken until the point where you can float an egg upon the surface by the thickness of one groat.
What does that even mean?
So, it is either referring to a groat, which is an archaic form of coinage, or it is referring to a groat, which is also, if I remember correctly, a horticultural aspect. It is like a seed of something. So yes, there's the groat grain, and then there's also the groat coin. So it doesn't tell me which groat it's referring to, but it is old enough that it could be referring to the groat coin.
Well, wouldn't it depend on where it's from? Also,
it is from the UK. It is from a long forgotten, nobly born man, Sir Arthur Kenham Digby.
Does the ancient Roman bread recipe not add salt because the hand kneading makes you sweat enough to not need it? Yeah.
All my breads are hand kneaded. And I have never once worked up a sweat kneading bread.
I do not hand knead my bread. I just put it in the bread maker, and then when it's done with the kneading and all that sort of thing, and the rising and everything, I then take it out of the bread maker and use it to make either bread or rolls.
That's cheating, and it doesn't allow you to feel the bread to feel what you need to add.
You say that as if I care.
You need to feel the bread. You need to know what it needs.
To feel the bread.
I don't like having, like, stuff under my nails.
Wear gloves.
Then you can't feel the bread, Sanguine. Make up your mind.
No, you can still feel the bread, because it's a textural issue. So you can get enough of the feel of the sponginess, and if you need to, you can slip off the glove on your thumb, feel the actual bread with your thumb, and that should be able to tell you enough. I have mixed in gloves before.
Dr. No says, GTG, see you later, Dr. No. Thanks for coming by, honey.
Have a good one, Dr. No. But yes, you need to know how the
See,
bread...
I love dumplings, but I hate making them because I always end up with beef suet and flour under my nails.
Ah, okay, so you're talking European dumpling.
Yes, European dumplings.
And Dr. No did ask, Tally, what's your favorite Dankula video?
The Nazi pug. I love
It's
that
everyone's favorite.
I rather love his
in
map.
saying that, the survival guide that he did, where he was in a after Trump won surviving Trump's America.
Mm-hmm.
That one also made me laugh. Where he had the green screen up and he was saying, "This is New York." To make you feel at home, this was before the apocalypse or before Trump was voted in.
And Kefke says, do it again, Evie. You know what I'm talking about. Do it again. Please.
Do it. Do it.
I don't even know. Oh, I know what I did, but I'm not going to do it again.
Do it.
No,
do it.
Do you even know what they're... Tell me what it is then, Tally. Were you even paying attention?
I have no idea.
Are you paying attention?
No.
Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. This shirt can get a little sheer if I pull it tight. So.
This one doesn't.
Oh, you'll just have to take it off.
No.
And your boy Pat, Dank and Tailed have appeared in video together a number of times on Twitter and on YouTube.
Oh, when Dank and Tailed did the
Romping
coronavirus one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There she goes.
Yeah, when Dank and Tailed did the coronavirus one, and his kilt fell off.
Mm-hmm.
That one was funny.
And let's see. A certain southern redhead is live with DBD on her Twitch channel.
That's a nice. I'll have to check it out later.
And I think that's caught up on all of the things that they were saying and asking.
Mm-hmm. Well,
looks like it.
We are coming up on the end of our stream.
Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm. And it was fun being on.
It was fun having you.
This time we didn't get censored for talking about the naughty topic of P Celtic and Q Celtic and their origins.
I guess that's because we didn't use the words Gaelic to describe them.
I mean, I don't care if she's gay or not. If she lets me lick her, I'm,
I don't get why it kept on happening. It must have been someone that disliked us.
It's got to be, or something we did just caught the bot. But like I said, week before when we had Weibo on, the stream went fine. We didn't get yeeted or anything, but after the fact, it got taken down. And I was like, what the fuck? So I sent my thing in to him saying, hey, my appeal in was like, hey, you took my stream down. Why did you do that? And they restored it within like an hour. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck was the point? It wasn't a copyright claim or anything. It was just I don't know.
Just send them an
Well, there's no reason why it would copyright, because The song is an original made by Samuel.
Samuel? You mean Samael?
Samael.
The Sam the Frog.
Samael was an angel. Samuel was several different points of the Bible.
Well, Samael was actually a fallen angel. He was also known as the seducer, the corrupter, and I can't remember the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's
the song is an original made by him, and he gave us permission to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course he did, because
this is all purpose for making it.
Made it. Yeah, basically.
And he's not going to claim it. So.
The artwork is all made by Kefke.
Mm-hmm.
It was Kefke. Yes, it was Kefke. So there's no reason anyone would copyright that. Other than that, like, they can't copyright our faces.
Like I said, the only thing I can think of was maybe because you had a picture of Sanguinius up there last time, but even that is so minor. I don't see why they would have.
And that has been in Minions streams before.
Right, and the bots have never done anything about that, so...
I guess we're just not popular enough for... Well...
See, what I think needs to happen is I think the next time that anything like that kicks off, Eve, you just need to send an absolutely blistering email about their naked transphobia.
No, it won't work that way. I agree with Polly, and the way that I would have to do it is I'd have to make several friends in high-profile organizations, that news organizations, and then go around and make several videos about how, you allow somebody as transphobic as what's his name, Steven Crowder, to make videos talking about the trannies and but then you won't let me and the trans woman and the bisexual woman have their say and whatnot, and that will definitely.
Well, I'd say part of the issue there is I's the whitest bitch on the planet.
Yeah, you know what? We're oppressed, but we're not oppressed enough, Tally. That's the problem.
And yes, your boy Pat, Samhain is pronounced Samhain.
Did I miss that?
Just like Magavan is pronounced Magavan. He said next you'll say Samhain, but he meant to have me pronounce it as Samhain is pronounced Samhain. It's the...
I mean, you're not wrong.
Religion. Or, not religion. It's the holiday.
It's Halloween.
Yeah.
I love Halloween.
I do too.
Irish version.
I've been, like I said, I don't know if I've mentioned this on S&M yet, but I've been reading the Iron Druid series and really enjoying it.
Yes, it is absolutely fantastic.
And I mentioned this on when I was talking to Weibo and Polly on Cocktail Hour Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really thought much about my heritage or my culture or where I come from, until I started reading those books and started seeing things about like Celtic heritage, Irish heritage, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been something that's really been on my mind. And so when I started seeing these things about it, and it's just part of the druid culture and the character, he's a 2,000-year-old druid, so he lived through a lot of that, and so he references back to it. Oh my god. And Tally is interrupting for what reason?
I just realized Halloween is only 3 months away.
Jesus fucking Christ, Tally. Anyway.
And I'm not ready!
You're not ready. We'll get you ready. It'll be fine. So when he starts talking about the culture of Ireland, of the Celtic people and stuff like that. It really made me kind of stop and take notice, because it's nothing that I've never really... It was interesting to think about that for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It is a beautiful and rich heritage.
It is, and it's not something that you get to hear about a lot, because you're always... You know, we live in a society that's constantly telling us that white people don't have any culture, white people don't have any heritage. They stole it all from the colored people, or people of color, sorry.
So, I think
well, they say that, but German culture is very different to Spanish culture, which is very different to French culture, which is very different to British culture.
Mm-hmm.
Which are all very different from Italian culture.
We all have
and
histories
Greek
and customs and cultures, and dismissing one person's culture because it doesn't suit your narrative is just, well, it's rude.
Well, the people that say the most people that say the white people don't have culture, they tend to be Americans, and I think a big part of that is because America is such a melting pot. All of these different cultures blended together to make one super culture that is a mixture of all of them. Whereas here in the UK, here in Europe, there are people that say white people don't have culture, but they tend to be the people that when they go abroad to other places in Europe, they tend to stay in resorts, as opposing to actually going out and seeing the culture. Like, I've been to Cyprus, and their culture in Cyprus is very different to the culture of the Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia as it used to be called before it was split into two countries instead of one. And I went to Prague, and their culture is very different. And the reason I know this is because when I go to these different places, I didn't stay in a holiday resort. I was actually submerged in the culture.
See, that clearly just means that you were culturally appropriate.
Well, the best way to appreciate someone else's culture is to submerge yourself within it.
Oh, yeah. But that's a very bad, dirty no.
Like, you speak to anyone from Japan, they love it when people show their appreciation for Japanese culture.
Oh, yeah. And when
the people who are the most against, like, white bitches like me wearing a kimono, making Japanese food, eating with chopsticks and all that sort of thing, the people that are most opposed to that aren't the Japanese. They love it when we do that because it shows that we love their culture. It's white bitches. So
I do have something to comment to about that. Have you guys heard of the Ghost of Tsushima?
I have cursorily heard about a video game that has blown up Twitch lately. Sure.
Yep. So the Ghost of Tsushima, there was a large number of Asian Americans that got pissed about it. And the response was the game company effectively went to Japan and went, hey, you guys like it, right? And Japan was like, yeah, fuck it, we love it. This is awesome. It's amazing. Bring on more of this shit. And the Asian Americans are getting pissed off at it. So there's a image floating around Twitter of someone's tweet saying, I really love it when Asian Americans raise serious concerns on an issue and white people go behind our backs to Asia to ask Asians in Asia what they're thinking instead of actually asking us.
Yeah, your little Asian American ass was born here and doesn't have to live through the culture. Yeah, it's where you came from, sure, but...
Well, it's where your family came from, not even necessarily where they came from. It's where their family came from.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, every time that I've gone to another country, I've had a blast. And I've always tried to actually experience the culture. I've gone to a myriad of important historic sites. I've gone to eat, not just... So it drives me crazy because every time that I've gone somewhere with a group of people, other than when it's with someone of a like mindset.
You know what? I have to say, if that somewhere where you have to go if you're going to go to Europe, Prague. But when I say Prague, Prague has two city centers. There's the modern one, which is like skyscrapers, and that's where all the casinos and the bars and all that are. And then there's the old city center, which is from like the Middle Ages. And they are two very different areas. Like, I'm going to say, if you're going to Prague, go to the old city center. And I'll tell you what, the clock tower, it's like that was a work of mechanical masterpiece work when it was first built, and it is beautiful. They have the stalls all around the square, the market stalls and all that sort of thing. And it's a lot of fun. And if you go down one of the side streets, because in these old-fashioned cities, like they have these very narrow side streets of what we would nowadays call alleys, but they're not alleyways because they're like main streets. They've got lines of shops and all that sort of thing down them. You go down one of those quite close to the clock tower, and you will find a sex museum. And they have got everything in this museum, ranging from toys like this big, and you're just there like, why? To ancient medieval sex torture. And it's quite interesting. And they've got they play like old-fashioned, like Victorian era porn in there as well.
Victorian era porn.
Yes, there was porn in the Victorian era, and in their little tiny movie theater, they play that.
Nice.
And we were walking around, and we came across this sex museum, and we were like, "Do you wanna? Shall we? Fuck it, let's do it, just so we can say we have." And it was quite interesting. And yeah. So, if you're going to go to Prague, you want to go to the old city centre rather than the new city centre.
But I swear, each of the times that I visit Asia, I end up in an obscene number of yearbooks and family photos. Because every single time, they fucking love me. They want to take pictures with me. They want to take
I'd imagine it's because you're so large.
Yeah, I'm a giant Tolkien dwarf with a big-ass red beard.
Well, with that thought, kids, we need to wrap up.
Also by the clock tower, they do like medieval style jester shows and dances
gotta get
and
one more in.
stuff
Just
and
one
stuff
more.
like that. It's really fun. It's really fun.
Nice.
Seriously, go to the old city centre in Prague. It's great. Go.
Anyways, that's going to do it for us today, kids. Thank you so much for everyone who came out and hung out with us. Thank you to chat. Thank you to Sanguine, who was our guest today. You guys could be doing anything with your time, and you chose to come over here and spend it with us, and we couldn't be more grateful. We love you all. Tally, are you down for hanging out in Discord after?
I'm going to cook my dinner first, and then I will, yes.
Okay, you better. You promised him. You promised in chat, not me. So you're gonna come hang out after your dinner.
Oh no, I'm gonna. How long is it gonna take for my dinner to be cooked? Let me check.
As long as you can show up, we don't care how long it takes. As long as you come hang out. So.
Well, I've just got to put my dinner in, and then I can come back.
Okay.
It'll take 30 minutes during cook, and then when I've just got to go get it out, and then I'll be back in.
So, with that, kids, thank you so much for watching. We have been S&M, and you guys have a good night. Bye.
Have a good night, all.
Lay back, relax, enjoy it all. Saturday night, it's time to say no more. S&M with Tally and KRC. Come pleasure or pain, welcome to the stream.